We begin today the Gemara on Daf Kuf Nun Amud Beis, 4 lines up from the bottom of the Yamud. So the Gemara here is in the middle of a subject discussing when a person is giving a gift, whether a shchiv mera, a dying person, or whether a person that's healthy and he wants to give a gift. And he uses the term that he's giving a gift, nechasim. He wants to give all his nechasim. What does the term nechasim mean? So nechasim means you're giving all your possessions. What's included in the possessions? So the Gemara began before going through a list of different things that a person owns, that they are all included in the expression of my possessions. So the Gemara now continues and speaks about additional items. So like the Gemara, shtare, if a person has documents, any kinds of documents of a loan or whatever it may be, or for a sale, ikri nichsi, they're also called my possessions. So that will be included in the gift if a person says, I'm giving away all my possessions. Where do we see this? Rabbi Bar Yitzchak said the following halacha: Shnei shtaris hein. There are two halachas regarding documents that you write for a person that's buying a property from you, and you did not yet give him this document. One is Omar. He says to Eidim, he says to two witnesses, Zchu b'sad zul leplaini. Make a kinyan. This is usually the way it's done when you sell a property to someone. You want to make a kinyan with a handkerchief, so you have the eidim that make the kinyan for the sake of the buyer. So they say to these eidim, make the kinyan for this buyer, and then the seller says vikisvu lo yisashtar, and then write him a shtar as well. So in such a case, so you didn't make these two things conditional, one on the other. You're saying make a kinyan, and they say also write a shtar. So now chayze b'shtar. You can retract. You can You can decide not to write the shtar if it's not written yet. But the sale you can't take back anymore. The sale is done. Now, however, if the person uses a different expression, he tells the ones that are the eidim that are going to make the kinyan for the buyer, al menas shetichtav lo yisashtar, that you're gonna make the kinyan for him, but you're acquiring it for him only on condition that the shtar is going to be written for him. So now the whole sale is conditional. So chayze bein b'shtar bein b'sada. You can retract from this kinyan. You can retract from writing the shtar. It was not written yet, so you still have an ability to retract from writing this. And then you could also decide not to follow through with the kinyan as well, because the whole kinyan is conditional on the shtar. Those are two cases where a person is selling with a shtar. Now, a third case, and this is what's going to be relevant over here for what we're talking about regarding the lashon of nichsi that a person uses in a gift. There are actually three halachas regarding when a person is writing a shtar for a sale. Today, Hanida Maran, two are what we just mentioned, and then there's a third case where what happened was in Kodam Moicher the Kasav Shtar. What happens if a person that's selling a property, he already wrote up the document in advance, all the details. Reuven, I'm selling this property to Shimon. It's all written already. Now the Gemara says that you're allowed to write up this shtar even before it's being sold, as what was taught in the Mishnah. Or in a Braisa. You're allowed to write a shtar even if the buyer is not even there. The moicher can write the shtar, and this is something that the buyer is not losing by the fact that you're writing him a shtar in advance, that you're selling it to him. Adarab, it's only a gain for him. You're writing this in advance. So you can write that shtar even if the buyer is not there yet with you. So now, once the shtar is written, now afterwards you're going to make the actual acquisition here, the sale. Now when the buyer comes and he possesses and he acquires the property, nikne shtar, now he's going to also automatically acquire this document, kamakim shuhu, wherever the document is. Because this is understood, that when you're buying from someone a property and the shtar is written up in advance, that the reason why he wrote it up in advance is because he wants you to acquire the property along with the shtar. So you don't have to make a separate kinyan with the shtar. Wherever the shtar is, the document becomes yours. You never made a second kinyan on the shtar itself. Because vizuyu sheshaninu, this is based on what we learned, we quoted before here a few times. When you have properties or really movable items that are called ein lam achrayis, there's no responsibility over them. So these movable items, niknin, are acquired iman achasim sheyesh lam achrayis, are acquired along with a property, a piece of land, and bekesev, b'shtar, b'chazaka. Once you make the kinyan on the karka, so then agav, along with this karka, you also acquire the shtar. So here we're using this Mishnah that speaks about nechasim, and it says the term nechasim, and we're applying it regarding a shtar as well. So therefore we see over here that the language, when a person uses the word nechasim as a gift, that includes a shtar as well.
What do you mean it's making a kinyan on the shtar?
He's not making a separate kinyan on the shtar. He's making a kinyan on the karka, on the karka.
Why have to make a shtar?
How does the physical shtar itself become yours? When the moicher writes the shtar, if he didn't give you over the shtar yet, the shtar is still in the moicher's house. How does that physical shtar become yours?
He's going to give him together.
But no. The Gemara is saying that even before he gives it to you, he can't decide, I don't want to give you the shtar, I want to tear it up. It doesn't work that way. If you wrote the shtar, even if the moicher is still keeping the shtar in his house, once the sale takes effect, there's an understanding that along with the karka, I get the shtar, I get the document of proof for this sale as well. We never actually made a kinyan on the shtar. So how do I get it? And the answer is kinyan agav. Along with the karka, you can acquire any movable items, and in this case, the shtar, no matter where in the world it is, even if he's keeping it in his house somewhere. Gemara goes on, another example, behema, a person that has animals. Ikri nichsi, if he says he's giving a gift, his possessions, the animals are included as well. Based on what we learned in the Mishnah, it says hamakdish nechasav, a person that declares all of his possessions to be hektish. Now, v'ayisa behen, amongst them was also behema ru'uya legabim mizbeach, animals that are fit to be brought as karbanis on the mizbeach. So now, usually when a person declares all of his possessions to be hektish, what happens? It all goes to the hektish of the bedek habayis, meaning the funds of the Beis Hamikdash that's needed for the building of the Beis Hamikdash. But now, if there's animals amongst them that are fit for the mizbeach, the halacha is animals that are fit for the mizbeach, they have to be brought for the mizbeach. It does not go to the bedek habayis. So therefore, if you had scharim, animals that are males, oilos, so they can be brought as a carbon oila, so they are brought as a carbon oila. Why dafka an oila? Because an oila is a carbon that's fully burnt on the mizbeach. And if this person dedicated it to the mizbeach, we don't want to bring it as a carbon where some of the meat are going to be eaten by the kayanim and even by the owner himself, because then it's not fully dedicated. He fully dedicated, so it should be an oila. Now, nekevos, if he has nekevos, female animals that cannot be brought as an oila, so what do we do here? If we want it to be though fully dedicated to the mizbeach, so yimachru litzarch zivchei shlamim, sell them for the purpose of someone else that's going to use these animals to bring on the mizbeach as a carbon shlamim. We don't want to just sell it for someone for chulin. You want to sell it also for a carbon. But then with the money, what are you going to do? Then the money is going to be brought as a carbon oila, so it should be fully dedicated to the mizbeach. Now the point of here is that the person used the language nuchasav, he was makdish all his possessions, and the animals are included. So we see behemoths are a part of nechasim. Further, Gemara says, oifis, ikri nechasim, nichsi. If a person has birds or any kinds of chickens, whatever it is, they're also included in his possessions that are going to be in the gift. The Tnan, as we learned in the Mishnah there as well, in the same place it says, a makdish nechasav, a person is makdish all his possessions, and he had amongst them things that are fit to be brought in the mizbeach, yeinos, wine that could be poured in the mizbeach, shmanim, or oils, or va'ifis, or the birds that are fit to be brought as a carbon on the mizbeach. So then that all has to be dedicated to be brought on the mizbeach. So we see that birds are included in this expression as well. Further, tefillin ikri nichsi, a person's own tefillin are also called nichsi. They're also part of his possessions. Where do we see this? At Nan, because there it says, hamakdish nechasav, a person that's makdish all his possessions. So then, mailan like tefillin, even the tefillin that he has, he's going to have to now give the value of that tefillin for the mizbeach. If he wants to redeem his tefillin, to be able to wear his tefillin, the tefillin now becomes hektish. He's going to have to borrow money to redeem these tefillin to be able to use for himself. So we see that even something like tefillin that a person uses for a mitzvah and so on, but nevertheless, it's in the language of the way people speak, it's called nechasim. The Gemara concludes the last case over here. The Shaila was asked, Sefer Torah mai. What's if a person owns a Sefer Torah? Is that included in the word nechasim, my possessions, or not? Okay, so here in our Gemara it says that what's the suffix about a Sefer Torah? Do I say, Kivin doleim is dabin, since a Sefer Torah is not something that you sell, the asal is vunei, it's forbidden to sell a Sefer Torah, so then lav nechsehu. That's not, in the language of people, considered to be a regular possession. Or perhaps I can say, Kivin dem is dabin, there is a case where you're allowed to sell a Sefer Torah. Lilmid Torah, if a person needs money to be able to go travel to learn Torah, and velisa isha, in order to be able to go and get married. So there are cases where you're allowed to sell a Sefer Torah, so maybe nichsehu. There a person would refer to a Sefer Torah as a valuable possession that he could use for a certain purpose. Now this is the svaras that it says in our Gemara. Now from Rashbam and Tosfos and all the Rishonim, it seems that they did not have this explanation here in the Gemara regarding tefillin that the Gemara gives, and therefore the Rashbam says another svara. The Rashbam says that do I say that if tefillin is considered to be a person's possession, even though tefillin is a holy item, it's not just a simple item. So maybe Sefer Torah is similar. Sefer Torah is a whole holy item, but it's also valuable like tefillin, and it's called a possession. Or maybe not. Maybe I could say tefillin is something that you wear on yourself. It's like a malbush. So therefore, that's something that's called nechasim. But a sefer Torah it's a sefer of a mitzvah. You don't wear it, so therefore it's not called nechasim. That's the svar of the Rashbam. Teiku. So on this question, the Gemara does not give an answer. Okay, the Gemara gives a siman for what comes here now. In the Gemara, there's going to be different halachas based on different incidents that happened. Siman Zutre Ime de Amram Mitarti Achvasa. 2 stories about sisters, Rav Tuvi, Rav Dimi, Rav Yosef. The sisters of Rav Tumi, Rav Dimi, and Rav Yosef. So the first story is Ime de Rav Zutre Bat Tuvia, the mother of Rav Zutre Bat Tuvia. So this is a story that's connected to something that was mentioned before in the Gemara that's called the Mavrachas. Mavrachas is when a woman is getting married and she has properties and she wants to protect her properties, that her husband should not have any possession over them when she gets married to him. Usually when a woman gets married, so now the husband has the rights to all the paytas. This is what's called nichse mulug. He gets the usage of all the properties. What's if a wife does not want the husband to take possession over them? So before she's getting married, she gives that as a gift to someone else. As long as she's married to this person, she wants that someone else should hold it for her and the husband shouldn't have it. So now over here, the mother of Zutra Bar Tuvia, so she was getting married. She wrote her properties as a gift to her son, Rav Zutra Bar Tuvia. Why? Because the Boyle and Suvelele Rav Zvid. She wanted to get married to Rav Zvid. And as we'll see soon in the Gemara, she clearly said that she's only doing this because she's getting married. Now, in Seva, she got married to Rav Zvid, and then Vigirsha. Rav Zvid divorced her. So now, once she was divorced, she wanted to go and claim back her properties because she only gave it to her son because of the marriage to avoid her husband of taking it or to prevent her husband of taking it. But now that she's divorced, she wants it back. Now, so she came to Rav Bevi Bar Abaye to ask to get her properties back. So Amar Rav Bevi Bar Abaye said, no, you can't take it back because Mishum and Suvi. When you gave the properties to your son, you said that you're giving it to him because you're getting married. That's all you said. She didn't say that she wants it back when she's getting divorced. She said that she's giving it because she's getting married. So you got married. In other words, the way Rabbi Bar Abaye understood this is that maybe if you would have not gotten married, then the gift to your son would not take effect because you're telling him that you're only giving it because you're getting married. But now that you got married, it takes effect, and that's it. You can't retract from this. You don't get it back afterwards when you get divorced. So Amalei Rav Huna Bered Rav Yeshua said to this psak din that Rabbi Bar Abaye wanted to say that Mishum the Asam Mimuloi, because you come from Mimuloi, which is that Abaye and Rabbi Bar Abaye, they were descendants from the children of Eli Akayin that were called Mimuloi, from the place Mimuloi. So Amrisa Mili Mulyaisa. You said something which is mulyaisa. One of the pshatim here, mulyaisa is something which is like cut off, something that's chopped off, something that's blemished, something that doesn't make sense. Why? So he explains to him, no. Over here, when his mother said that he's giving it to the son because she's getting married, it's very clear what she meant by this. That she only wants to protect her properties, that the husband shouldn't take it. So therefore, even according to the opinion that says, Mavrachas Kani, that when a woman that wants to protect the properties from her husband is giving it to someone, that person acquires it and he doesn't have to give it back ever. That's only if she didn't reveal her intent. Over here, even just the fact that she's saying, I'm giving it to you because I'm getting married, so she's revealing her intent that it's only because she's going to be married to the husband. But now she was married and she was divorced. Even if she didn't clearly say that when I get divorced, I'm getting it back, but it revealed clearly that that the gift is only because she's going to be married to the husband. So therefore, she will get it back. Another story, the mother of Rami Bachame, so she gave a gift, her properties. So at night, she wrote that she's giving away all of her properties to her son, Rami Bachame. Now, B'tzafre, the next morning, apparently a brother found out that the mother gave away everything to one brother. So he came to complain to the mother. So Kazvine, Rav Ukva Bar Chama. So now she wrote that she's giving away all the properties to him, to Rav Ukva Bar Chama. Okay, and now this is before she passed away. So she gave it first to one, and then she changed. She was chayzer, and she gave it then to the other. Now after she passed away, so Rav Ukva Bar Chama kamed Rav Nachman. Rav Ukva Bar Chama. I skipped the line. Sorry. First Asi Rami Bar Chama lekamed Rav Sheshes. So Rami Bar Chama that got the gift first came to Rav Sheshes. So Rav Sheshes said, "You're the one that the mother gave it to first. You get all the properties." So, Azla Rav Ukva Bar Chama Kameh de Rav Nachman. Rav Ukva Bar Chama, that the mother gave it to him second, then went to Rav Nachman. And Ukva Benichse. And Rav Nachman said, no, the properties belong to you. He gave it to you second, that it belongs to you. Okay, so there's an argument here. Who gets it? The one that gave it to first or the one that gave it to second? So also Rav Sheshes Kameh de Rav Nachman. Rav Sheshes comes to Rav Nachman and Amalei, and he asks Rav Nachman, my time Ukva Mar le Rav Ukva Bar Chama. Why is it that you're giving it to Rav Ukva Bar Chama that the mother gave it to second? Imishom the Hadraba is the reason because, well, we see that the mother retracted. That's the mother gave it to him second, so that means that's now who the mother wanted to give it to. But so he asked on this, V'hashchive, but she passed away. So what he means to ask by this is that if she passed away, then the gift that she gave first as a shchiv merah takes effect, and she doesn't have the ability to retract from the gift that she gave first. In other words, Rav Sheshes held that by the gift of a shchiv merah, you can't change. The shchiv merah can't then decide to give it afterwards to someone else, and it would uproot the previous gift of the shchiv merah. It doesn't work. Once she gave it, then she passed away. The first gift that she gave remains in effect, even without a kinyan.
By the first gift, she was a shchiv merah.
Yeah, she was a shchiv merah here, so it remains in effect.
How did she come about giving it to the second?
Well, she didn't die immediately, so the next morning she gave it. She said she wants to give it to the other child, but Rav Sheshes says it doesn't work. Once you gave it to the first, you can't retract from this. But Amalei, so Rav Nachman says to him, no, but this is not true. Even a shchiv merah that gives a gift could change their mind and give it to someone else. Because Hachiyama Shmuel, this is what Shmuel said, Kol she'ilu almat chayzer, just like by the gift of a shchiv merah, we say that if the shchiv merah recovers, they can retract from the gift, as we learned before, in the case where they gave everything away, then if they recover, they can retract. So chayzer b'matnasai. So even now, they before they die and they want to retract from this gift, they can have charata, can decide to give it to someone else, and therefore now the mother decided to give it afterwards to the Ukva Bar Chama, so that's who it goes to. So Rav Sheshes argues back and says, well, not necessarily. When did Shmuel say that a person that's giving a gift as the shchiv merah can retract from this? La'atzmai, for yourself, if you taking back the gift. Just like we say that if he did not die, if he recovers, so then he's able to retract. So over here, the fact that he can change his mind from this gift is to take it back to himself. But la'acher miyama. But when he's not really retracting from giving it away, just changing from one person to another, in such a case, could you retract once you're giving it away? So Rav Nachman answers to this. Yeah, he'd actually, on Malay, Rav Nachman said, B'fei Shama Shmuel clearly said, Ben la'atzmai, ben la'achra. A shchiv merah that gives a gift to one, the next day he can change his mind and decide to give it to someone else. So in this case, the mother gave it to Rav Chama Bar Ukva first, again, to what's his name? Rami Bar Chama first, and then the next day she changed her mind and gave it to Rav Ukva. And so therefore it goes to the second person. Another story, the Gemara says, Imei de Rav Amram Chasida, the mother of Rav Amram, the Chassid. Havalei Meluga de Shtari, she had a bundle of documents. Sakika Shachva, before she passed away, again, we're talking here about a shchiv merah, Amra, she said, Lehevi la Amram beri. Let all of this be given as a gift to my son Amram. So now what happened over here? Also, Achvu ala Kamei de Rav Nachman. So after now the mother passed away, so the brothers that heard that the mother gave everything away, all the documents to one brother, so the brothers came now to Rav Nachman, and Amrulay, they said to Rav Nachman, V'holei Moshach, our brother that the mother gave everything away to did not make any kinyan for the shtar. Emma says that the lashon of the Gemara Meshicha is not exact, because Meshicha is not really the kinyan you make for a shtar. Usually by shtar you make the kinyan of Hagbah, you lift it up. But the Gemara is not being medayik here, because it just means they were complaining that the kinyan did not take effect, that our mother gave it to him, because there was no kinyan. So Rav Nachman says to them, it doesn't matter. The words of a shchiv merah, even without a kinyan, is like it's written and it's like it's given, done with a kinyan, even just the word itself. So the Mefarshim say that they weren't amaratzim. They knew this halacha, that the words of a shchiv merah takes effect. But regarding a shtar, they thought maybe a shtar is different. B'chlal, selling a shtar, it's more complicated. We learned before in the Gemara. So they thought maybe a shtar is different. So Rav Nachman told them, no, even by a shtar, the mother gave away the bundle of the stars to one brother. Without any kinyan, it takes effect. Another story, Achsid Rav Tuvi bar Rav Masna, the sister of Rav Tuvi bar Rav Masna. So she was not well, and she wanted to give away her properties as a gift to her brother. So Kasvinu lenichsel Rav Tuvi bar Rav Masna. So she wrote all of her properties. She's giving it away to her brother Rav Tuvi bar Rav Masna. Now, Betzafra, that was in the morning. Okay, in the morning she gave it all away to one brother. Rav Tuvi Barav Masna. La Panya came in the evening. Also Rav Achdaboy Barav Masna, a brother, Rav Achdaboy came, and Bachala cried to her sister and said, "Why are you giving everything away to only one brother? What's with me?" Amala Hashta Amri Mar. So he complained to the sister and he said, "Look, people are going to say, Amri, that is, Amri, people are going to say, Mar Tzorbim Rabana, the master, meaning my brother. Everyone's going to say about him that, he's a Talmud Chacham, that's why you chose to give everything to him. Mar Lav Tzorbim Rabana, and this individual, meaning myself, I'm not a Talmud Chacham. So why am I less? Why are you not giving anything to me?" So Kasvina Nale, so she changed, and now she went and she gave it all to him. So now, so after she passed away, Asla Kamed Rav Nachman. So he came to Rav Nachman, the other brother. The first brother wanted to get what the sister gave him, so they came to Rav Nachman. Amalei. So I said to him, Hachi Yama Shmuel, like we quoted before already. This is what Shmuel said: Kol Shiloh mit Chayzer. When a Shchiv Merah gives a gift, and he has the ability to retract from this, if he would recover from his illness. So Chayzer b'matnasek, when he gives a gift and then he changes, he can give it to someone else. So he gave it to Rav Achta by second, so it belongs now all to him. Another case with his sister, Achsed Rav Dimi Bar Yosef, the sister of Rav Dimi Bar Yosef, Havala Psikta de Pardesa. She had a piece of land of vineyards or of orchards. Anytime she got ill and she was afraid that she would pass away, she would say that I'm giving it all as a gift for my brother, Nehle, for him. But then and then if she recovered of her illness, she would then have charata from this whole gift. This is all she had, and she gave it all away. And then if she recovers, she's able to have charata from this. So this happened already a few times. Now, so Zimna Chada, once again, Chalsha, she was not well. So Shalchale, she sent to call her brother, Rav Dimi, to give him again her properties as a gift. Ta kini, come and acquire, take the properties, I want to give it to you as a gift. So Shalach, Rav Dimi sent back to her to say, Loi Bina, I'm not interested in coming. So she's paranoid. Every time she's not well, she goes and she's giving it to him, and then she gets up, she recovers, and she just takes it back. So it's a waste of time. So Shalchalei, so now she sent a message to him to say, Ta, come, Kini kol heiche de bayis, you can acquire from my properties however you want. Do it in a way that I won't be able to retract from this gift, and it'll be yours. So Ozal, she wanted to make sure that he'll get it. She actually thought she would be passing away. So Ozal, so he went, and now this time, what did he do? Shaira, when he took the gift from her, these properties, he left over something for her. As we learned before in the Mishnah, that if you take a gift from a Shchiv Merah and the Shchiv Merah keeps something for himself, then even if he recovers, you can't retract anymore from the gift. So he did it in such a way, he left over a little bit for his sister, and even more, V'konomina, he made an actual kinyan here. So now what happened? His sister actually recovers from her illness. Now Kikaima, when she recovered, Hadraba, now she came and she wanted to retract from the gift yet again, even though he did it in such a way that she should not be able to retract from this. So now Rav Nachman, she came in front of Rav Nachman to say that she wants to have back her properties from her brother. So Shalachle. So Rav Nachman sent the message to Rav Dimi to say to him, come to the din Teira, to paskin the din, that you have to give the properties back to your sister. Lo yasa, he didn't want to come. Omar, Rav Dimi said, my I-see, what's the point of me coming? The halacha here is clear, there's no din Teira here. Hashayra, I left over some properties for her, which means that this is a kind of matana that a Shchiv Merah cannot retract from even if they recover. And also the Kanamino, there was a kinyan here, so I fully acquired this. How could she have charat from this? There's no reason for me to come to any din Teira. Shalach lei, Rav Nachman sent a message to Rav Dimi, Iloi Yoses, if you're not going to come, I'm going to strike you or prick you with a thorn that there's no actual blood. It's an expression meaning that I'm going to put you into some kind of excommunication for not showing up to the din Teira. Okay, so now he had no choice. He had to come to the din Teira. And now what happened? Amalul Sadi, Rav Nachman was investigating the matter, so he asked the witnesses that were there, Hey Chava Maisa, how was the story here when his sister gave him the gift of these properties? Amrulei, so he said to Rav Nachman, Amra, she said, the sister said, she was saying as follows, Vai de kamisa hachitze, woe to this woman that's going to pass away. That's what she said when she gave away the gifts to her brother. So Amaluhu, so now based on this, Rav Nachman said, Im Kain, if so, have a mitzave machmas mise. She's expressing this in words like this, so it's clear that she's only giving it away because she's dying. Umitzave machmas mise. Someone is giving away something and they clearly say that they're giving it away only because they're dying. Chayzer. From this, you could retract if the person recovers. In other words, what the Gemara is saying here now is the whole thing that we had before in the Mishnah, that it depends if you gave it all away. So then we say that it's clear that you're only giving it away because you're dying, so you could retract. If you don't give it all away, so then you can't retract. That's if the person did not verbalize anything. So then we have to use our own assumption, so we make that distinction. But if over here, even if you left her something, but she said clearly that she's only giving it away because she's dying, even if she didn't mamish clearly say, and if I don't die, I want to retract. But the fact that she's saying that she's giving it away because she's dying, over here, in any case, if she recovers from this, then it's no gift. She can take it back. So she outsmarted her brother, but just by that, she was able to get it back. Okay, so now in connection to this, the Gemara brings now the halacha that there's more details here. Till here, we thought that the benegay to the shchiv merah, whether the shchiv merah could retract or can retract, there's more details here. So the Gemara brings itmar. We learned as follows: matna shchiv merah b'miktsas. Shchiv merah that's giving a gift, and he's not giving it all. He's only giving some of his properties as a gift. So regarding such a case of a gift of a shchiv merah, so Omru Rabbanon Kamei de Rave, the Rabbanon said in front of Rave, Mishmei de Mazutra Berei de Rav Nachman, in the name of Mazutra, the son of Rav Nachman, the Amma Mishmei de Rav Nachman, he said in the name of his father Rav Nachman, that Harei Kematnas body, this kind of gift when a shchiv merah is not giving everything away, he's only giving away some of his properties. So in some sense, it's like the gift of a healthy person, and Vaharei Kematnas shchiv merah. In another sense, it's like the matana that's unique to a shchiv merah when a person is dying. So he explained, Harei kematnas body, it's like the gift of a healthy person, Shem Amad Eina Chayzer, that it's a gift that's done, it's gone. You can't take it back. Even if you recover, you don't get it back. Just like a regular gift of a healthy person. This is as we learned that if you're leaving something for yourself, then even if you don't die, if you recover, you can't take anything back. But on the other hand, Varei kematnas shchiv merah, it's compared to the matan of a shchiv merah, which is unique and different from a gift of a healthy person, the leiboy kinyan. This will take effect even without any actual kinyan, even just the words alone, it takes effect. The takana of the chachamim apply here that you don't have to have a kinyan for this. That's what they said in the name of Rav Nachman. So Amalu Rave, when Rave heard this, Rave said to them, Lava minaluchu. Didn't I say to you, Letitlu boiki siriki b'Rav Nachman? Don't hang empty pictures in what Rav Nachman says. Meaning, don't say things that are misquoting him, because this is not what Rav Nachman said. And I know that Hachi Amar Rav Nachman. This is what Rav Nachman said. That in such a case, when a shchiv merah is giving away only a percent of his properties, Harehi kematnas body. We treat this like a regular kinyan of a healthy person. So regarding the halacha, we said before that you can't retract from this kind of a gift. And also, ubay kinyan, it only takes effect with a kinyan. The halacha of a shchiv merah that we say that it takes effect without a kinyan is only if he's giving it all away. But if it's only miktzah, some of it, a percent of it, then it's totally like the matana of a body that you do have to have a kinyan. That's what Rav Nachman said. Now, Rav Nachman, so Rav now said this is the right quote of what Rav Nachman said, but now Rav himself asks on Rav Nachman from what we learned before in the Mishnah, when it spoke about the matan of the shchiv merah. What does the Mishnah say? That a shchiv merah that gives a gift, and shir karka kol shuhu, he left over some of the karka for himself, it's not a full, not giving everything away, matnosa kayemes. So in such a case, the matana remains in effect, even if the shchiv merah recovers. But now the Gemara says, my love, don't you think, what is the Mishnah saying here? That this is a gift of a shchiv merah without any action without any kinyan. And we'll see soon why the Gemara is assuming this, based on the other part of the Mishnah. But the Gemara here first says, so we see clearly in the Mishnah that there's no kinyan here, and it still takes effect. So the Gemara argues back and says, no, loy de kanomine. No, we could say like Rav Nachman said, that since you're not giving everything away, in such a case, you do need a kinyan for it to take effect. But the Gemara asks on this, ihachi, but if that's the case, that in this part of the Mishnah, it's talking about with a kinyan, so now aim is safer. What's the next case of the Mishnah? Loy shir karka kol shu, a shchiv merah that's giving a gift and he doesn't leave over anything from himself. What's the halacha here? If he recovers, eimat nasa kayemes, then the matana does not remain in effect, and you can retract from this kinyan. But the question on this is, if you said the Reish is talking about with a kinyan, so the Sefer is also talking about that you actually made a proper kinyan, so why, if the shchiv merah recovers, should he be able to retract from this kinyan? it's not just a kinyan with words, it's a proper Maisa kinyan. So you shouldn't be able to retract from this. So Amalei Rav Nachman answered, there's no question. Hachi Yoma Shmuel, this is what Shmuel said. Shchiv Mera shekosav kol nechasav la'achedim, a Shchiv Mera that's giving away all of his properties to someone else. He's not leaving anything for himself. Afal pisha kana miyadai, even if it was done with a kinyan, so it's like a proper regular gift. But nevertheless, Amat Chayzer, if he recovers from this illness, he could retract from this gift. Why? Because biyudua shelehaya mitzave ela machmas misa. Because there's an umdana here, as the Gemara started off there, when the Gemara explained this in the Mishnah before, that there's an assumption that the person was only giving everything away because he thought he's not going to recover. If he thought he would recover, then he wouldn't give it all away. He needs it. So therefore, even with a kinyan, the Mishnah is still saying that if you give it all away, you're able to retract from this if he recovers. So therefore, there's no question from the Mishnah. So again, Rav Nachman holds by a shchiv mira that's giving away only part of his properties. So the only way this gift could take effect is with a kinyan. So the Gemara asks on this, so it says in the Mishnah here later in this Pedic that Maise be'iman shel b'nei Reichel. There was a story with the mother of the sons of an individual by the name of Reichel. Shahaisa chayle, she was sick. Va'amra, and she said, as a shchiv mira, tinasen kibinasi lebiti, my brooch, piece of jewelry, it should be given to my daughter. And v'hu b'shnei masa mana, the value of this is 12 mana. Now, this was not all of her possessions that she had. It was one piece of jewelry that she wanted to give to her daughter. Umeisa, and she died, and v'kaimu, the bachiretz, chachamim, es dvareha. The chachamim fulfilled what she said, and that even if there's no kinyan here, and she just said that she's giving it away, and this was only giving away part of what she owned, nevertheless, chachamim fulfilled her words. It says, just because she said it, it takes effect. So Rav Nachman said you need a kinyan. So here it says it's without a kinyan. And it says the Gemara, Hasam b'mitzave machmas mise. Even Rav Nachman will agree that if a shchiv mira is giving away only part of his properties, but he says clearly that he's giving it away because he's dying, in such a case you don't need a kinyan. This is Rav Nachman said that a shchiv mira that gives away part of his properties, you have to have a kinyan for this, is because he's not saying clearly it's because he's dying. But in a case where it's machmas mise, so then even you don't need any kinyan in this case. Similar to what the Gemara said before, when you gave to a shchiv mira, even when you gave everything, even when you gave only part of the properties away, and usually you could retract from that. You can't retract from that gift. But if it's machmas misa, you made it clear it's because the person is dying, so therefore the person is able to retract from this. And same thing over here, you don't need a kinyan if the person clearly says that it's machmas misa. One more case was asked on Rav Nachman, Eisve Ravina l'Rave, Ravina asked on Rave, on what Rav Nachman said, that if a shchiv mira is giving away part of his properties, you'll need a kinyan. So the Mishnah says, give this get for my wife, or abdi, or this document of freedom for my slave, umeis, and he's saying to give it, and he passed away now, so then lo yitnu, you can't give it. After you can't give it la'achamisa. After he passed away, so you can't divorce a wife, or you can't give a shtar to free the eved once the person's not here anymore. He passed away already. Now, tnu mana leplaini, if a person says, give a gift, give a mana to so-and-so, umeis, and then after he says this, he passes away, yitnu lachem, he said. Here you give it after he passed away. This is the case that we're talking about, a matana of a shchiv mira. So now over here, the Gemara understands that it says, give a mana, which is not all of his possessions. He's giving away just one mana. And what does it say? Just with the words that he said, it takes effect and you give it after he passes away. Now, the Gemara clarifies, how do you know that here there was no kinyan made? How do you know that there's no kinyan made? And therefore you're asking a question on Rav Nachman that says that you must have a kinyan. It says the Gemara, dum you the get, because over here in this Mishnah it compares to a get. Ma get lav bar kinyan. Just like when it was speaking about the case that a person says, give a get to my wife, and then he passes away. There's no kinyan involved there, it's just a get. So too when he says, give a mana as a gift to so-and-so, there was no kinyan involved, and still it says that even though he was just giving away one mana, a percent of his possessions, it takes effect without a kinyan. How does Rav Nachman say you need a kinyan? And says the Gemara, Hasam nami b'mitzave machmas misa. Similar to what we said before, Rav Nachman will agree, if it's a case where the person clearly says, I'm giving this because I'm dying, in such a case, you do not need a kinyan. Now, Rav Hune Bereid Rav Yeshua Amar, Rav Hune Bereid Rav Yeshua says, regarding both of these cases that we just brought up as a question on Rav Nachman, that mitzava machmas misa balme boy kinyan. A person that is giving away part of his properties, even if he's saying clearly that it's because he's dying, you would still need a kinyan for this to take effect. These two missions that we just quoted here, it wasn't the case where this shchiv merah was only giving away part of his properties. It's been mechalek kol chasav. Yeah, the mother gave away the brooch for the daughter, and then she gave everything else away to other children or whatever. Or in this case also, when the person gave one money to one person, he was giving it all away. So he's distributing everything. So in such a case, even according to Rav Nachman, when you give everything away, the shchiv merah, you don't need a kinyan. Dahi matna shchiv merah shavya. That is the gift of a shchiv merah that Chachamim instituted, that it takes effect even without a kinyan. Now the Gemara concludes the halacha regarding all of this v'hilchaseh. So the halacha here is as follows: matna shchiv merah b'miktsas. When a shchiv merah is giving away part of his properties, so then boy kinyan. For this to take effect, you do need a kinyan. V'afagav demeis, even if he ends up dying. But nevertheless, it's only going to take effect if there's a kinyan. However, mitzava machmas misa, if he's giving away even only part of his properties, but he's making it clear, he's saying that he's commanding because he's dying, then loy boy kinyan. Then it takes effect just with words alone, and you don't need a kinyan. And v'hu demeis, that's only if he dies. But otherwise, if he doesn't die, it doesn't take effect if you didn't have a kinyan. Amad chayzer, but if he recovers, then you could be chayzer for this. And va'afagav the konimine. That's even if it was a kinyan made over here, you're still going to be able to be chayzer from this kind of a sale without a kinyan or gift without a kinyan.
Comment.
Okay.